one of the things we've talked about in the past is supporting yourself so that you can support your child. And one of the ways to do that is to have somebody that you trust that you can talk to. How do you know if the person that you have in your life is somebody that you can trust to talk to about your child being transgender? So when my son Leo came out as transgender, I felt like I only had a very few people in my life that I could talk to about his coming out and him being transgender. And there are a few reasons for that. One was that I didn't want to negatively influence some of the people in my life's views about my son, right? So, like our extended family, I didn't want anything that I said about how I was feeling about my own struggles or my emotions or my thoughts about Leo's coming out to come out sounding to my family like anything less than that I loved and supported Leo. So I didn't want them to think that I didn't love Leo or I wasn't supporting him. So I was very guarded in what I shared with them because I wanted them to still be loving and supporting Leo as well. So I didn't want them to hear something that I said and interpret it in a way that I didn't intend for it to be interpreted. So as a result of that, there were people in our extended family who I didn't share a whole lot about how I was feeling or even about Leo in general. One, often because they didn't ask, or if they did, I just shared how he was doing, or, answered their questions exactly how they asked them because of those reasons, right? Then there were people in my life who I knew based off of what they shared on social media that they weren't fully supportive of the LGBTQ community, even though they loved me and they loved my family and my children. I knew that they were not trustworthy in the way that I could share with them about my experience and feel that I would be fully supported, right? Does that make sense? So it's tricky there. And it was hard for me because some of those people, like one of my oldest and closest friends, we're not particularly close anymore. And we haven't been since Leo came out. And it was hard not to share about that experience because I knew that even though that person would have tried really hard and was still very supportive and tried really hard to understand and have a changed view and learn things that they didn't really understand, it wasn't something that they fully could stand behind and support. And so sometimes relationships change and sometimes you end up losing people in your life, and that unfortunately is part of the process. And so I had to ask questions about my friendships and my relationships, like how does this person take information that I share with them about other things that are hard and private, and what, do they ask questions about things that I share with them that show me that they are a trustworthy person that I can then share this kind of emotional vulnerability with them, and I know that they will hold that close to their heart, and then in turn I will be able to, share this really private and emotional thing that I'm going through, and they will be a safe person for me to continue to have these conversations with. And it really came down to two people. One was a close friend that I had, and one was a friendship that I was in the process of growing. But I knew already that that person was very trustworthy, and that person has proven to be a very valuable and trustworthy friend. And the other was actually a family member, and the reason that I didn't continue to share too much with that family member was because that person, even though that family member asked very great questions and continued to reach out to support me, they were also a very trustworthy and close support person for Leo. And I didn't want to take away that support for Leo. And so I didn't want anything that I said to that person to negatively influence how they were able to support Leo. And I felt like Leo having the support of that person was more important than me having the support of that person. We did have a lot of interactions back and forth because they regularly reached out to see how I was doing and how I was feeling. I was careful in how I did answer back and forth to that person because I wanted to make sure that Leo had their support first and foremost. So, all that to say, you really need to find your people, and there's no magic formula. And I can't say to you, here's the thing to do to find your person. You'll just know. You're gonna know who are the few, because I think it really comes down to probably a few. Who are the few trustworthy people that you can turn to and really have the deep conversations with how you are doing and how you are feeling, and the ones that you're going to turn to and talk to about the hard stuff and the hard stuff and the days where you may just not be able to keep it together and you just need somebody to talk to, and you're going to pick up the phone to call or text because you really just can't get the words out, but you need to just get them out somehow. So your thumbs are going to move 5,000 miles a minute and just spill what's on your heart. Who's going to be on the other end of that phone, right? If you don't have somebody that you can do that with, I highly recommend seeking out a professional. And I'll talk more about that later on. And I've talked about it before. And I have both. I have close friends and I have a therapist. And I highly recommend both, honestly. So have people that you can turn to for support, because we can't do it alone. You can't get through this to the other side by yourself. So who are the people that you can talk to about your child? And if you don't have anybody yet, think about who you can get into your corner to help you so that you can support your child, because your child needs your support and you need the support of your people. Okay, we'll talk more next week. Bye.